The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Chapter 5. Something roared like thunder. The earth shook a little and we heard the rat-a-tat-tat of gunfire. "Father!" Hassan cried. We sprung to our feet and raced out of the living room. We found Ali hobbling frantically across the foyer. "Father! What's that sound?" Hassan yelped, his hands outstretched toward Ali. Ali wrapped his arms around us. A white light flashed, lit the sky in silver. It flashed again and was followed by a rapid staccato of gunfire. "They are hunting ducks," Ali said in a hoarse voice. "They hunt ducks at night, you know. Don't be afraid." A siren went off in the distance. Somewhere glass shattered and someone shouted. I heard people on the street, jolted from sleep and probably still in their pajamas with ruffled hair and puffy eyes. Hassan was crying. Ali pulled him close, clutched him with tenderness. Later, I would tell myself I hadn't felt envious of Hassan. Not at all. We stayed huddled that way until the early hours of the morning. The shootings and explosions had lasted less than an hour, but they had frightened us badly because none of us had ever heard gunshots in the streets. They were foreign sounds to us then. The generation of Afghan children whose ears would know nothing but the sounds of bombs and gunfire was not yet born. Huddled together in the dining room and waiting for the sun to rise, none of us had any notion that a way of life had ended. Our way of life. If not quite yet, then at least it was the beginning of the end. The official end would come first in April 1978 with the communist coup d'etat, and then in December 1979 when Russian tanks would roll into the very same streets where Hassan and I played, bringing the death of the Afghanistan I knew and marking the start of a still ongoing era of bloodletting. Just before sunrise, Baba's car peeled into the driveway. His door slammed shut and his running footsteps pounded the streets. Then he appeared in the doorway and I saw something on his face. Something I didn't recognize right away because I had never seen it before. Fear. "Amir, Hassan!" he exclaimed as he ran to us, opening his arms wide. "They blocked all the roads and the telephone didn't work. I was so worried." We let him wrap us in his arms, and for a brief, insane moment, I was glad about whatever had happened that night. They weren't shooting ducks after all, as it turned out. They hadn't shot much of anything that night of July 17, 1973. Kabul awoke the next morning to find that the monarchy was a thing of the past. The king, Zahid Shah, was away in Italy. In his absence, his cousin Daud Khan had ended the king's 40-year reign with a bloodless coup. I remember Hassan and I crouching that next morning outside my father's study as Baba and Rahim Khan sipped black tea and listened to the breaking news of the coup on Radio Kabul. "Amir Agha," Hassan whispered. "What?" "What's a republic?" I shrugged. "I don't know. On Baba's radio they were saying that word, republic, over and over again." "Amir Agha, what? Does republic mean father and I will have to move away?" "I don't think so," I whispered back. Hassan considered this. "Amir Agha, what? I don't want them to send me and father away." I smiled. "Bus, you donkey, no one's sending you away." "Amir Agha, what? Do you want to go climb our tree?" My smile broadened. That was another thing about Hassan. He always knew when to say the right thing. The news on the radio was getting pretty boring. Hassan went to his shack to get ready and I ran upstairs to grab a book. Then I went to the kitchen, stuffed my pockets with handfuls of pine nuts and ran outside to find Hassan waiting for me. We burst through the front gates and headed for the hill. We crossed the residential street and were trekking through a barren patch of rough land that led to the hill when suddenly a rock struck Hassan in the back. We whirled around and my heart dropped. Asif and two of his friends, Wali and Kamal, were approaching us. Asif was the son of one of my father's friends, Mahmoud, an airline pilot. His family lived a few streets south of our home in a posh, high-walled compound with palm trees. If you were a kid living in the Wazir Akbar Khan section of Kabul, you knew about Asif and his famous stainless steel brass knuckles, hopefully not through personal experience. Born to a German mother and Afghan father, the blonde, blue-eyed Asif towered over the other kids. His well-earned reputation for savagery preceded him on the streets. Flanked by his obeying friends, he walked the neighborhood like a Khan, strolling through his land with his eager-to-please entourage. His word was law, and if you needed a little legal education, then those brass knuckles were just the right teaching tool. I saw him use those knuckles once on a kid from the Karthechar district. I will never forget how Asif's blue eyes glinted with a light not entirely sane, and how he grinned as he pummeled the poor kid unconscious. Some of the boys in Wazir Akbar Khan had nicknamed him Asif Goshkhor, or Asif the Ear-Eater. Of course, none of them dared utter it to his face unless they wished to suffer the same fate as the poor kid who had unwittingly inspired that nickname when he had fought Asif over a kite and ended up fishing his right ear from a muddy gutter. Years later, I learned an English word for the creature that Asif was, a word for which a good Farsi equivalent does not exist: sociopath. Of all the neighborhood boys who tortured Ali, Asif was by far the most relentless. He was in fact the originator of the Babalu jeer. "Hey Babalu, who did you eat today? Huh? Come on Babalu, give us a smile." And on days when he felt particularly inspired, he spiced up his badgering a little. "Hey you flat-nosed Babalu, who did you eat today? Tell us, you slant-eyed donkey." Now he was walking toward us, hands on his hips, his sneakers kicking up little puffs of dust. "Good morning, Kaneez," Asif exclaimed, waving. Fag, that was another of his favorite insults. Hassan retreated behind me as the three older boys closed in. They stood before us, three tall boys dressed in jeans and t-shirts, towering over us all. Asif crossed his thick arms on his chest, a savage sort of grin on his lips. Not for the first time it occurred to me that Asif might not be entirely sane. It also occurred to me how lucky I was to have Baba as my father. The sole reason I believe Asif had mostly refrained from harassing me too much. He tipped his chin to Hassan. "Hey, flat nose," he said. "How is Babalu?" Hassan said nothing and crept another step behind me. "Have you heard the news, boys?" Asif said, his grin never faltering. "The king is gone. Good riddance. Long live the president. My father knows Daud Khan. Did you know that, Amir?" "So does my father," I said. In reality, I had no idea if that was true or not. "So does my father," Asif mimicked me in a whining voice. Kamal and Wali cackled in unison. I wished Baba were there. "Well, Daud Khan dined at our house last year," Asif went on. "How do you like that, Amir?" I wondered if anyone would hear us scream in this remote patch of land. Baba's house was a good kilometer away. I wished we had stayed at the house. "Do you know what I will tell Daud Khan the next time he comes to our house for dinner?" Asif said. "I'm going to have a little chat with him, man to man, mirth to mirth. Tell him what I told my mother about Hitler. Now there was a leader, a great leader, a man with vision. I'll tell Daud Khan to remember that if they had let Hitler finish what he had started, the world be a better place now. Baba says Hitler was crazy, that he ordered a lot of innocent people killed," I heard myself say before I could clamp a hand on my mouth. Asif snickered. "He sounds like my mother, and she's German. She should know better. But then they want you to believe that, don't they? They don't want you to know the truth." I didn't know who they were or what truth they were hiding, and I didn't want to find out. I wished I hadn't said anything. I wished again I'd look up and see Baba coming up the hill.